same old game. Acting funny, but I don't know why. Excuse me while I kiss my pay goodbye. Shutdown clouds hanging low, 3 weeks deep, nowhere to go. Congress talking, but they just play. My rent's due, can't they hear what I say?
Warning, the following broadcast contains adult language, adult content, frank safety discussions, and stories that might sound unbelievable. But believe me, every one of those stories is true. We didn't start the safety war, but we are going to fight to win it. For our families, for our communities, for our workplaces, and for our lives. Hello, hello, hello. It's Safety Wars for Wednesday, October 15, 2025. How's everybody doing? I'll tell you how everybody's doing. Everybody is nuts. Nobody wants to take things head on in my world. Nobody wants to talk about things. But we're going to talk about it here on Safety Wars because that's the kind of stuff we do. And we have Falling in the background playing, right? Royalty-free music. All of our music here is royalty-free or AI generated, and I own it. So no need to fear. That some people are getting a little bit annoyed with the shutdown music. Well, so I decided to change the tone because right now it's starting to hurt. The shutdown. And I'm not talking it's hurting Jimmy Posel. It's not hurting Jimmy Posel. Oh, a little bit more prep, a little bit more harder work. Going to find out what we talk about. No press releases or very few press releases out there. But that's the way it is. We'll find other stuff to talk about. I usually don't have a problem talking, in case you haven't figured that one out. So, this weekend, I'll see how things go. Maybe we'll do an AI music program. No, always wanted to be a DJ. You know, we'll let the DJ go over to Jay Allen on Radio Big on Live 365 and also on iHeartRadio, I believe, and tune in. Radio Big Live 365 is an app, as online radio streams, and he's on there. I mean, Rated R. That's where the Rated R Safety Show broadcasts from. And I tell you what, it's I think the description for the radio station is along the lines of, we'll play anything. Yeah, I know. It's like I listen to that, and it's like I'll get like a 1970s vibe going from 1970s song, maybe the 1960s with Beatles. And then the next song will be like Danzig. It'll be like Megadeth. It'll be, Scorpions or something like that. And then the song after that, it'll be Lionel Richie. So you'll go from, one song then to Say You, Say Me, Say It For Always. That's the way it will be. I know, Jim, you can't sing that song. I understand. There are songs that I am able to sing. That ain't one of them. So, you're saying, well, Jim, social upheaval. And, tomorrow I will not be on the air live. If I am on, it's going to be later on. Right? But, yes, it's my birthday tomorrow. And, we have some celebrations going on. So, I usually around my birthday, now starting about when I hit the last milestone birthday, I said, you know what, I'm hit this milestone birthday, I really don't care anymore. And I don't know how it is for women. I don't really see it as much, but I see it for men. they hit these milestone birthdays, and then it's like, oh, I don't really care what I'm going to say anymore because, all of a sudden you became the learning person, right? And learning and learning and learning. Now, then you go into, well, now I am not in the learning phase of my life. And that's we're going to try to get more into that as we go along, because we do have the 2028 elections coming up. Before that, the midterms in 2026, and we're already seeing a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? We're already seeing a lot of commercials. So I watch Pluto TV. I usually watch that, right? With that, the CBS affiliated app, they have all the old TV shows on there, including we got Star Trek, the original series. The Star Trek channel, right? It oscillates between Star Trek Next Generation, original series, and you have Voyager. They found out that on Netflix, that Voyager is on downloads, the most viewed Star Trek franchise series is Voyager. And then it was Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and then they have on the Sci-Fi Channel 4 hours of Enterprise every night. The problem is that with the way the programs are set up, it's like the same. They only introduce like one new episode a night, and it like shifts. So if you watch any reruns, but anyway, with that, so that's usually what I listen to. Where was I going? I don't know, but so. Well, where we're going into this, so I don't really watch TV, right? Very, very limited, except for that, and that's on in the background. But what I find is, all these analysts that I watch, whether it's on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, even on talk radio, a lot of them do not want to talk about what's really going on out there. And reading some of these human organizational performance books, Brett Sutton, even with Todd Conklin, people nowadays, with this upheaval, this social upheaval we're going through, and we won't find out what exactly happened until many years from now, people are not looking for reconciliation. People are looking for retribution. And when we go down this road of retribution, rather than reconciliation, forgiveness, atonement, repentance, forgiveness, when you go into this retribution mode, whether it's going to be at a company or whether it's going to be in a society, only bad things happen. Way it is. Well, what do you mean, Jim? The way that our safety systems, let's talk about safety. The way that a lot of companies' safety systems are set up, they're set up on a incentive system. So, for example, you have that sign out front, the zero accident, zero incident, zero injury sign that we're all familiar with. A lot of the projects that we're on, the one I'm on now, particularly now, has one of those signs up. We don't upkeep it. Why? Because I said, look, we know that those signs send the wrong message often. We're not dealing, even if you communicate, look, we're just keeping the sign up here, we're keeping statistics. That is often not how the worker interprets that. The incentive is that we're not going to report injuries often because we don't want to be the son of a bitch that resets that sign. And how many companies use that sign as their incentive? So, for example, if you reach this milestone in the project without an OSHA recordable, first aid, near miss, you name it, then we're going to give you an incentive. And you're a boss. You're a safety professional, let's say. And you already know you're probably the lowest paid person on the job, especially if you're just starting out in the first 5 years. It took me a long time to get even close to what a company should be paying me. And you're out there, Now your bonus is tied to that. And the company knows, the person who decides that knows that, hey, we'll put that in your bonus and everything else, knowing that they're not going to pay because there's going to be a screw up. You're not going to get paid out and you're not going to get a bonus. So now let's say that you're working on a bonus. Let's say it's $5,000. So after taxes, you're looking at about $3,000, $2,500, somewhere in that range. Not making a lot of money, but maybe that was your vacation money. Maybe that was a down payment on a new car. Maybe that was to pay off your college loan or some other debt. Maybe that was for a 1 week vacation, very meager vacation, $2,500, where we're going to take off for the week. That'll cover my income for the weekend. Also, maybe go somewhere, a nice, modest vacation. Now, all of a sudden, you're not going to get that vacation because somebody got hurt. And shame on them for getting hurt. Now you get into the retribution mode. This person is so freaking stupid that he went and got hurt. And you could go and right, the whole thing on there. And now you get into the retribution phase. Are you going to be the nicest person in the world? How about the person, and I've been on jobs where people deliberately report things or get hurt just at bonus time, at review time, at inopportune time. I've been on jobs like that. All right. Now you get into the retribution phase. How about if you are the safety professional and you single somebody out? Well, that guy did something to me, and now I'm going to bust his... Right? I'm going to do it just because, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? Now you're in the retribution phase. Very easy to get in there. It feels good. It's a fleeting feeling. Well, what do you mean, Jim? There are some people out there, psychopaths, and I normally do not give solutions to people on the show, on the internet, even in a post on LinkedIn or so. I normally do not give solutions, except for one. If you are truly dealing with a psychopathic individual, you have to learn how to deal with that person. And if you're going to be, because a lot of times people do not understand anything else other than retribution. That's the way it is. And it has to be immediate. Well, what do you mean, Jim? Immediate. It means immediate. I'm not saying get nasty. I'm not saying anything else. But with that, right? Don't get nasty. It looks bad on you. So if they do something, you have to have the right words for it. You have to have the right reaction. You have to have the right, laugh it off and to their face. Because what happens is when you do that immediately, when you're dealing with a psychopath or a sociopath, then that's the only time you can correct it. It has to be immediate. The way it is. Especially if you do not have the backing of your management. However, let me point out something to you. That you tell somebody off, it feels freaking great. I'm going to tell you, it feels great for about 5 minutes. And then you're like, man, I sold my freaking soul in this situation. I sold my freaking soul to feel good for 5 minutes. Not worth it. I'm telling you, it ain't worth it. Another case in point in the workplace where we have people who came up, it could be for a whole bunch of stuff. They came up and they were abused. They didn't have the authority. It could be safety. It could be any other management. They could pick on you for any other reason. I mean, if you look at the list of disabilities you could that are covered out there, there's a lot of them out there. For me, it was cleft lip, cleft palate. For other people, It could be a disability like a mobility issue. It could be a gender issue. It could be a sexuality issue. It could be a genetic issue. It could be HIV status. It could be race, color, religion, all those things, and then more on that. So now you're in a situation where you've been effed around. Are you looking for reconciliation or are you looking for retribution? Because often what happens is people say, you know what, I had it bad, therefore everybody else is going to have it bad. I had a problem with this type of person, so therefore I'm going to treat every person I run to like that. I'm going to run into who is that. Well, guess what? I'm going to treat them like Wuvno. I had a problem with the safety guy at last job, so I'm going to, and this is usually what happens now. They have a problem with the safety guy on the last project. Now, all safety guys are bad. Right? And what does that happen? That's retribution. That's not reconciliation. And then the negativity goes on and on and on, and it impacts safety. So you got to figure out how you're going to manage that. Now let's move on to the societal level. People feel that they've been wronged. In some cases, people have legitimately been wronged. For whatever reason. Now we're to the point. It could be right wing, left wing, and you want to, no, doesn't matter. Any way possible. I've been wronged, so I want retribution. And then what happens? You have political violence, both ways. So, what has to happen? Real simple. People have to go and they have to reconcile. They have to go and they have to get along with each other. Forgive. The Bible says, right? I'll get a little, right, turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek. Reconciliation, forgiveness and everything feels a lot better long term than retribution. Because once you go down that retributive road, it's a road to hell with that. I believe it's the Chinese that said, it might have been Sun Tzu, if you're out for revenge, dig 2 graves. That's my monologue for tonight, and that's where we're going to start out. Right? Forgive. Don't go out there and get revenge. It's a fleeting, it's a fool's errand. It's a fleeting error thing. And if we're going to solve the problems in our society, we have to start from a place of forgiveness and reconciliation, not something else. And that's where we're going to go to.
From the front lines of the safety war, it's Safety Wars, with your host, Jim Posel on Safety FM. Get ready to face the harsh reality.
Have you listened or watched the Safety War show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Posel and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives in some information that you might be interested in.
At Safety FM, we're just a humble radio station and podcast network. But we're changing the way people look at safety, one broadcast and one podcast at a time. Because here, we don't treat the word safety as a dirty word. We make it powerful. Rated R Safety Show. Jay Allen pushes boundaries and breaks myths. Safety Wars. Jim Posel brings the battle for safety to life. Pre-accident investigations. Todd Conklin dives deep into human performance. The Safety Consultant Podcast, Sheldon Primus helps you build your business and your career. A Hope Podcast with no name. Andy Barker and Matt Florio keep it real with human and organizational performance. The Accidental Safety Pro, Jill James explores what it means to grow in this profession. The Safety of Work, Dr. Drew Ray and Dr. David Proven bring you science, research, and real-world impact. Hop into action. Ben Hutchinson gets you moving from theory to practice. Truck Safe Live. Brandon Wiseman delivers compliance and safety for America's road warriors. The Safety Pro Podcast. Blaine J. Hoffman blends leadership and innovation for today's workforce. Whether you're on the job, on the road, or on a mission to make work safer, there's a voice for you at Safety FM. Safety FM, changing the way people look at safety, one broadcast at a time. Visit safetyfm.com or download the Safety FM app wherever you get your podcasts.
OSHA recordables, catastrophic losses, environmental disasters. You want answers? So do I. This is Jim Posel with Safety Wars.
That's my daddy!
So, here we are. We are back again. Yes, some Halloween vibes going on there. Anyway. Right, this one is on Haunted Sparks. So here, with the government shutdown, I was commenting with my wife today. As you know, the government shutdown is being a real pain in the neck for everybody. A lot of issues going on out there. With now, government employees are not getting paid, and again, that's not a good thing because we all need to earn a living here, and some of the folks that have not been furloughed are going into work and continuing to work and being paid and not being paid. Right, so it was the 15th of the month. A lot of government employees get paid on the 15th of the month, and this is what the issue is. Right? But we are here. I've had to work to dig deep into stories. So here we have with AI and the abuse of AI. People use AI, and there are ethical uses of AI if you use it as a tool. But as I always say, be very freaking careful. It does give you wrong information, and you have to double check everything. Right? It's the way it is. So here we have a story. It's from Archive.is. Man stores AI-generated robot porn on his government computer and loses access to nuclear secrets. A man who works for people overseeing America's nuclear stockpile has lost his security clearance. How many videos? 187,000 pornographic images to the Department of Energy network. Wow. You had to be doing that for years. Unless he did one big upload and he was, I don't know. It's just one of those things, right? A man who works for the people overseeing America's nuclear stockpile has lost his security clearance after uploading 187,000 porn images to a DOE network as part of an appeals process in an attempt to get back his security clearance. The man told investigators he felt his bosses spied on him so much that the interrogation over the porn snafu was akin to the Spanish Inquisition. On March 23, 2023, a DOE employee attempted to back up his personal porn collection. His goal was to use 187,000 images collected over the past 30 years as training data for an AI image generator. Holy crap. He said he had depression, something he struggled with since he was a kid. During the depressive episode, he felt extremely isolated and lonely, and started playing with tools that made generative images as a coping strategy, including robot pornography. So he wanted to make better robot pornography using government computers. Are you serious? The individual thought that even though his personal drives were connected to his employers, they were somehow partitioned and his personal material would not contaminate the government website. I don't know. He did not get his clearance back. And no, this is like Dr. Obvious here. The DOE psychologist opened that the individual's probability of experiencing another depressive episode in the future was very high. Yeah, well, now he's without a job. Yeah, you think? So here I have something else I just came across here. This is what happened when AI, right? Let's see if the story will come up. It just came across, right? This is a near and dear to my heart. What happened when AI came for craft beer? What's this about? Right? Prominent beer judging competition introduced an AI-based judging tool without warning in the middle of the competition, surprising and angering judges who thought their evaluation notes for each beer were being used to improve the AI. According to multiple interviews with judges involved, the company behind the competition also planned to launch a consumer-facing app that would use AI to match drinkers with the beers. Best Beer, the name of the company, also threatened legal action against one judge who wrote an open letter criticizing the use of AI in beer tasting and judging. The months-long episode shows what can happen when organizations try to push AI into a hobby, a pursuit, art form, or even industry. Right? And what did it do exactly? What else? On the third day competition, judges were asked to enter their tasting notes into a new AI-powered app, right? Using AI felt like it was parroting back bad versions of your judge tasting notes. There wasn't really an opportunity for us to actually write our evaluation. Okay, so their intentions to gather our training data for their own profit was apparent, so they used the data to come up with a better beer, according to the judges, using AI. I don't know, we'll see. Here, 187,000 images. Now, here, we have some other AI stories. Top U.S. Army general says he's letting ChatGPT make military decisions. Really? Now, isn't this like a Skynet situation from the Terminator? If it's worrying that high school kids are outsourcing their brains to AI, it's downright alarming to imagine U.S. military leaders, the commanders of the most well-equipped armed forces in history, are doing the same. This is from Futurism.com. Unfortunately, that scenario is no longer the stuff of Cold War fiction, as first reported by Business Insider. Major General William Hank Taylor, commander of the 8th Field Army in South Korea, told reporters that ChatGPT and I have become really close lately, allegedly. This is what the quote is here. With this, I don't want to ruin the guy here. I have no idea if this is true or not. I'm trying to build models to help all of us, he said, adding that he's using ChatGPT to help make military and personal decisions affecting the soldiers under his command. This includes the Joint UN Command in South Korea. As commander, I want to make better decisions. I want to make sure that I make decisions at the right time to give me the advantage. This is what the problem is here, especially when you're on a DoD system. Entering in shit into ChatGPT means that it's not secure anymore. Oh, yeah. That means that you're not secure anymore. You're putting it into a DoD situation. That is a problem. Into a network, into anything. As we just found out with the DOE, 187,000 porn images the guy had. This is part of it right now. That being said, according to people who are involved in the industry more than I am, that deal with AI more than I do, according to them, this is like what we've heard of the social credit score. Guess what? AI is going to be the judges and the jury, and in some cases, the executioner, right, proverbially, of bad behavior. So, right, so let's say that you're writing in, let's say that you're, what does ChatGPT, right, there's been documented cases of severe mental encourages users as they fall into severe mental health crisis that led to involuntary commitment and even suicide, right? Where companies are, so let's say that you have been with a company for a number of years. Where what the plan is to take your emails for the last X number of years, put them into AI, an AI program, and then it comes back and says you're a racist because of the way you did this, or you're a homophobe, or this is wrong with you. Don't give this person a promotion because they're this, they're that, or whatever. It could be used the other way. The person is too liberal, so therefore we can't give that person a promotion. Any way that you want to spin it, that's the way it's going to be spun. And for the military, especially a senior commander, admitting to this with ChatGPT and everything else, using that to make decisions, that's an issue. Let's say it tells you to do the wrong thing. How many times have we had ChatGPT where we used it and it tells you to do the wrong thing? And by the way, there's a disclaimer on their website that says, we have been known to give wrong answers or something like that. You need to double check. Very, very disheartening, very confusing here. With this, here's another AI story. This has been covered on Coast to Coast AM multiple times. And I tell you what, they took callers in on this last time. Well, no, every time they do talk about callers here, especially if it's an open lines night. And I tell you what, it's not the men necessarily that are into these sex robots. It's women. There are women that have made calls and oh yeah, I'm all into it. Again, what's this about? And a lot of this stuff, right? This is from Reason Mag. I'll give you my opinion in a minute. Hold on. One of the first feature articles I wrote for Reason was about sex robots. That was 2015. And the article is from Elizabeth Nolan Brown. Sex robots are here and it's okay. This was 2015, and both legacy and social media had cyclical freakouts about the havoc that sex robots were supposedly wreak. By sex robots, and I mean everyone else at the time, meant anthropomorphic robots that were able to be physically intimate with humans and perhaps romantic too. The gist of my piece is basically calm down. Sex robots sex robots as people are imagining them. Let's try this again. Sex robots, as people are imagining them, I think this is a misprint here, don't actually exist. They won't for a while, and even if they do, it's going to be okay. I remember that article. Now, sex robots are here. We're seeing the rise of artificially intelligent chatbot companions as they are capable of both romance and naughty talk, from the G-rated to the pornographic. This week, OpenAI founder Sam Altman even announced that an upcoming version of ChatGPT would not only have more personality, but also engage in erotica with verified adults. There are already all sorts of dedicated platforms for AI girlfriends and sex fantasy chatbots. Meta has been under fire for allowing its chatbots to engage in romantic role play. That can get graphic even when those chatting say they are teens. And Elon Musk's AI bot Grok can go into sexy mode. These are not the sort of sex robots everyone was panicking about a decade ago. They're not embodied sex machines, but that hasn't stopped a lot of hand-wringing about what all this will mean. An Ohio lawmaker, State Representative Thad Claggett, in, oh, you're going to love this, Licking County, has introduced legislation to ban marriages between humans and AI chatbots. No AI system shall be recognized as a spouse, domestic partner, or hold any personal legal status analogous to marriage or union with a human or another AI system. So it begins. Star Trek had The Next Generation, and also the original series went into this in the 60s, man, and in the 80s. With this, what are the rights of robots? We thought it was sci-fi now. Now it's becoming a reality. Right? The Ohio bill also states that AI system can't own property or manage a corporation, and says AI developers are legally required to prevent or mitigate harm. Meanwhile, Senator Josh Hawley, Republican of Montana, never met, I believe it was Montana, right? Never met a new tech panic he couldn't embrace, is reported drafting a bill that will ban AI companions for minors. Right? Now, some would say this is evolution. This is Jimmy talking here. Right? And the article goes on and on. It's a very well-written article. And I want to do a shout-out for the author. What's her name? Elizabeth Nolan Brown. She did a phenomenal job here on Reason.com. Article out today. So we're going to go down a little bit of memory lane here. And they weren't the first group of people that came up with this, but not going to be the last. The eugenics movement of the 1920s, and you had the Paul Ehrlich with the population bomb in, I believe it was 1967, which led to various commissions and things talking about population control. I believe one of them was the Club of Rome, and population control. And the idea was to have, and how can I say this for this show that would be appropriate? One of the things was to normalize solo sex here. And populations that have, since then, populations that have embraced that type of behavior have had demographic collapses. One of them being Japan. Demographic collapse, birth rates very low. Another one was China. Right? Again, it's hard to get statistics out of China because we know that they're all lying about them, right? Not accurate here. Again, adding to anything to lower the birth rate. Right? And what does birth rate happen when you lower the birth rate? Demographic collapse eventually, and social upheaval, which goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning monologue. Here, right? Well, some people may misunderstand. Well, you want this certain people reproducing, you want that certain people. Okay, no, that's how we're talking about. Just pure numbers here. With this, had this conversation today about someone about Bayonne, New Jersey, and the population in Bayonne, New Jersey increasing, and I have a personal interest in that. That's my family is heavily involved in Bayonne, my extended family, Bayonne, New Jersey. Bayonne was in population decline for decades there. Now, not so much anymore. So these demographic issues do matter with everything. They go, right, that's why the census is important to get that count for planners. And I know I don't like answering these questions out of the census. But the planners here, because it shifts. What happens when you don't have enough children? Then you don't need as many stores. Then you don't need as many toy stores. You don't need as many doctors. You don't need as many schools. You don't need as many sports. And it goes on and on and on. Don't believe me? There's a whole TV show, 5 seasons, and now it's getting into a spinoff called Testaments. What was the original show? Was The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, based on the book on Margaret Atwood, and there was also a movie with Robert Duvall, and I forget who the other person whose female lead was on that. Very, very relevant out there. Demographic collapse here, right? So we had like 3 things on AI here. We'll talk about ethical AI use probably at a certain point here in the future. I don't want to make promises. We're going to go to our second commercial break here.
Safety Wars is streaming now. SafetyFM.com.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hackneyed? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
This is gonna blow your mind. There's a new daytime talk show on your local cable access station. What happens when safety, scandal, and heartbreak collide? Welcome to Safety Wars, the talk show. Today's episode is a doozy. Imagine confronting your unsafe supervisor who just happens to be your ex-wife's new hubby. Talk about a powder keg. But wait, there's more. We've got an exclusive interview with a corporate exec who's taken out life insurance policies on his riskiest workers, hoping to cash in on a deadly mishap. Yup, you heard that right. It's a real-life plot twist you can't make up. Tune in as Jim Posel, CSP, our very own Jerry Springer of Safety, dives deep into this explosive confrontation. Sparks will fly and secrets will be exposed. Catch the full episode on Safety Wars on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Don't miss out on the drama that could save your life. Like and share now and stay safe, folks.
We're moving on to our last segment here. Where are we? We're at 42 minutes after the hour. All right. Again, we'll talk about this. Again, the program's about safety in the news and everything else, but it's also on Jim Posel, what Jim finds interesting today, right? So here we have Melf. I commented this to one of my Catholic priest friends, Father Pete, where he put this up and he said, "Hey, what does everybody think?" And I said, "Well, look, I think this. I'm going to tell you in a minute here." Mel Gibson faces backlash after blasphemous recast of the Christ sequel. This story is from Pura Willix from metro.co.uk. So basically, it's been 20 years since Mel Gibson's polarizing biblical blockbuster Passion of the Christ hit screens following the final 12 hours in the lead-up to the death of Jesus Christ, including his arrest, trial, and crucifixion. The film starred Jim Caviezel as the Messiah, Maya Morgenstern as his mother Mary, and Monica Bellucci as Mary Magdalene. Although the screenplay was based on the Gospels, it did face the wrath of many who said violence was too graphic, while others went so far as to call it anti-Semitic. All right, as far as after what we've gone through with the Ukraine war and ISIS or ISIL in Iraq, right, or Levant, right, and the Gaza war, and right, that was ended on Monday. Ceasefire was signed, and we get all these images out of that, right? Of horrific things. I mean, it's horrific. Not safe for work. Not even safe for discussion on safety wars, which is pretty freaking bad, right? Do we really think that the Passion of the Christ was too violent? Do you really think that with the stuff going on? I mean, there's websites out there that are dedicated to snuff films. Do we really think it's right? That's what they used to do it back in the day, right? With this stuff. So it was right now. This is what we know is that all these other people are recast here, right? With that, and rather than using de-aging software, which has come a long way, they went and they recasted Jesus Christ as Jaco Otonen, right? And also Human Ashes, Mariel Garriga as Mary Magdalene, and I don't know who Mary is. Hold on. Do they even mention it? Polish actress Kasia. I know I am pronouncing that wrong. I cannot get the pronunciation correct. I worked with a Kasia, and she always used to giggle. She used to say, "I am not barley," right? But Kasia Swoteniak, right? I know we're not saying that right. And it's now playing Mary. Okay, now let's go on with this, right? This is 20 plus years since this was filmed, right? Something like that. Everybody's older. They recast people all the time. What's the big deal? And they're saying, well, Jesus is not going to be James Cameron. Okay, I feel bad. He's not going to be getting in the movie. However, this is new movie takes place after the resurrection. All right. And if we go by what the Bible says, the apostles did not recognize Jesus after the resurrection. So is it really that far-fetched that they find a new Jesus after the resurrection? Really not. I mean, come on. And now I'll get some mail. Jesus wasn't real. Yeah, okay, great. Believe what you want to believe. Okay, now let's talk more about safety. This is from the Wall Street Journal today from Betsy McKay. Right? The public health resistance to HHS Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy is growing. Governors across 15 states, including New York, California, and North Carolina, are forming a new public health alliance to detect and respond to disease threats, saying federal funding cuts and policy changes by the Trump administration are putting their citizens at risk. Well, what a mind-blowing concept. Really. That state governments should take care of people. What a mind-blowing federalism. Yeah, it's very nice that we have the CDC in there. I get it, they're managing these things. However, what happened during COVID? There was a one-size-fits-all solution or feedback on everything. That's what was communicated. That's how the states took it. Maybe if we have states managing their public health and maybe getting together like this in alliances, like maybe we can have a Northeast one, Northwest one, Southwest one, Southeast one, all different, Alaska and Hawaii. Maybe if we have those, maybe we'll get up to some better decisions being made and feedback, and we won't have 1.2 million people dead. Right? Policy change for the Trump administration putting their citizens at risk. Okay, if their citizens are at risk, why aren't they protecting the citizens? Looking at it on the other end with the nationalization of the National Guard. Some states, like Illinois, every weekend, high crime areas, specific to Chicago and surrounding communities, gang violence. Not solving it for all these years. Now the federal government is going in there on these immigration raids and everything. Oh, well, we can't have that. We can't have that, blah, blah, blah. But we have to have them on the public health end. How do you come up with these ideas? Either you believe in federalism or mostly, or you don't believe in it mostly. And we realize there's a lot of gray areas here. So governors across 15 states are doing, well, maybe they'll hire some of the people that got laid off or retired early or whatever their case is. The state leaders, all Democrats, will join forces to help one another prepare for pandemics, track infectious diseases, write public health guidelines, share expertise on preventative care, and buy vaccines and supplies in bulk. Probably should be what happens. Now, let's remember, and I know with the hyper-local situation during COVID and what we had to deal with in Rockland County, New York, with different community, that was one of the epicenters. Maybe better local control on a lot of this stuff might be the solution rather than big government control. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I forget which founding father that said, look, that the states are the laboratories of democracy. Here, might be a good thing, all right? Again, the states taking leadership here, rather than dumping it on the federal government that may or may not be effective with this. We'll see how it goes with this. Are they more effective or are they less effective? My problem, part of this is sovereign immunity. Always is, right? Jimmy does not like sovereign immunity. Someone's got to be responsible. All right, so here we have another thing. Where are we? 51 minutes. Dozens of reporters turned in access badges and exited the Pentagon on Wednesday, rather than agree to government-imposed restrictions on their work. This is from the Associated Press, David Fowler. Pushing journalists who cover the American military further from the seat of power, the nation's leadership called the new rules common sense to help regulate a very disruptive press. News outlets were nearly unanimous in rejecting new rules imposed by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth that would leave journalists vulnerable to expulsion if they sought to report on information, classified or otherwise, that had not been approved by Hegseth for release. Many of the reporters waited to leave together a 4 p.m. deadline set by the DoD to get out of the building. As they are approached, boxes of documents lined up Pentagon corridor, and reporters carried chairs, copying machine, books, and old photos through the parking lot from suddenly abandoned workspaces. Shortly after 40 to 50 journalists left together after handing in badges. What was in those boxes? Were those classified documents? I hope they were vetted. Right? So, one of the things was, one of the people said, it made no sense to sign on rules that said reporters should not solicit military officials for information. Okay, we get that, right? But let's remember something. I think they're getting, and you've heard it here first, they're getting ready for something really freaking big, is what it looks like. Here. Sweden, and we remember Finland last December. We're listening to all of our shows here on disaster preparedness. Sweden will start filling up its silos with food for the first time since the Cold War amid fears of a war with Russia. After ending its long-standing policy of military non-alignment and joining NATO in 2024, the Scandinavian country is taking some drastic measures to build strength in the new total defense. Its government announced plans to invest £45 million, right? Civil Defense Minister Carl Oskar said, "We are well aware that the risk of Sweden becoming completely cut off is very low, but the risk of complex supply chains being disrupted with major and unpredictable consequences in the event of a war and conflict is unfortunately more likely." Okay. With that, we have a new partnership here we will be mentioning next week. Here. So hear about the parking lot collapse in White Plains today. I was convinced that was where I used to park when I lived in White Plains, but it wasn't. It was a different garage. Pretty interesting there. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. Now, here is another impact from the federal shutdown. So this is in my community here. Highland Falls is just south of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, and goes out, and they never really got over West Point during World War II, taking over most of the town, right, out on Route 293, I think it is. Used to ride that all the time. The village of Highland Falls and the Greater Food Bank of the Hudson Valley have joined forces to address the need for food among both enlisted and civilian workers at West Point. On Monday, the Hudson Valley Food Bank delivered fruit, vegetables, meat, and non-perishable items to the Highland Falls Senior Center for distribution. Some 50 to 60 families who have not yet received a paycheck since October 1st government shutdown were able to acquire much-needed groceries throughout the day. Highland Falls trustee Jennifer Gargiulo, spearheaded this initiative with West Point Spouses Club. She says they realize just how many West Point employees are concerned about how they'll feed their families. Right. Again, the U.S. Military Academy at West Point is one of Orange County's largest employers with nearly 6,500 military and civilian workers. I used to be one, so there, way back in the day. Okay, where are we? We're at 56 minutes. We're going to cut it short here. And we'll see you on Friday, maybe. We'll see how it goes here. Again, thank you for already. Birthday greetings have come in. Thank you, everybody, on that. And I'll see you when I see you. For Safety FM and Safety Wars, this is Jim Posel.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
Shutdown days, all in my brain. Bills don't pass, it's the same old game. Acting funny, but I don't know why. Excuse me while I kiss my pay goodbye.